day long. The flower pot man. The flower pot man.
Starry, starry night. One beautiful starry night, Bill, Ben, and Weed were playing a game called Guess the Stars. It was very simple to play. One of them had to choose a star and then guess its name. "Flubber Mercury," said Bill, pointing to Mercury. "Well done, Bill," said Weed. "Your turn now, Ben." "Flubberlub," said Ben. He looked carefully at the stars and pointed to Venus. "Flubber Venus!" "Correct, Ben. All right, it's my turn now," said Weed. She looked carefully at the stars and pointed to Mars. "That one over there is Mars." "Flubber dubber Weed," said Bill and Ben as they clapped. The three friends also managed to recognize Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Just then, Bill and Ben noticed that Weed was looking sad. "Oh, Flubber Weed?" said Bill. "Oh, Flubber dubber matter," said Ben. "Oh, it's nothing important," said Weed. "I just wish I could see the stars up close." "Flubberlob?" said Bill. "Don't get me wrong. I like looking at the stars and playing Guess the Stars," said Weed. "But it would be nice to see the stars up close." Then she went to sleep. Bill and Ben couldn't go to sleep knowing Weed was sad when she went to sleep, so they needed to do something to cheer her up. Then Bill had an idea. If Weed couldn't go to the stars could come to Weed. Flubber how?" asked Ben. "Flubber picture on paper," answered Bill. He decided they needed to get up into the sky and draw the stars on some paper. He knew just where to find it. "Flubber, come with me, Ben," said Bill, and he and Ben climbed down to their flower pots and ran to the cellar. Bill and Ben slid down the cellar slide, and when they got to the bottom, Bill nudged Ben and pointed to the paper box under the high shelf. "Flubber over there," he said. Bill and Ben ran over to the box of paper. "Flubber, I'll get it," said Ben. "Flubber, okay, Ben," said Bill. Ben saw some building blocks next to the box that looked like a set of stairs. "Aha!" he said. Ben ran to the bottom of the block stairs, walked up them, and when he got to the top, he jumped into the box. "Flubber, run now!" Bill could hear Ben rummaging around inside the box. "Flubber okay in there?" he called. A small sheet of paper flew out of the box and landed in front of Bill. To the flower pot men, it looked like a sheet of A4 paper. "Flubber perfect," said Bill. "Ah, Flubber great," said Ben as he popped up from the box. He leapt out and landed next to Bill, who saw something. "Oh, Flubberlob," he said as he ran over to it. Ben picked up the paper, and Bill came back holding a packet of colouring pens. "Flubber pens," he said. "Ah, Flubber colours," said Ben. Now that the flower pot men had their paper and something to colour in their pictures, all they needed to do now was to get up into the sky. At the end of the garden, Bill, who was holding the pens, skidded to a stop next to the clothesline pole, climbed into the peg bag, and pulled the rope, which sent him up to the top of the pole. Bill and Ben were both told by Slow Coach what each star looked like as planets, and they remembered what they were told very well. When Bill got to the top of the clothesline pole, he took out a grey pen out of the packet and looked carefully at Mercury. "Flubber-dubber-lob," said Bill thoughtfully. Even though he couldn't see what the stars looked like as planets where he was, he still felt like he needed to be as close to them as he could. Bill took the lid off the pen and started looking around for the paper, but he couldn't find it. "Eh? Flubber-dubber paper?" he wondered. Ben arrived holding the paper and called up to Bill. "Flubber Bill!" Bill put the lid back on the pen and looked down at Ben. "Flop?" he said. "Flubber forgot the paper!" said Ben. "Oh! Flubber thank you, Ben!" said Bill. He put the grey pen back in the packet, and Ben pulled the rope down, causing the peg bag to fall down to the ground with Bill inside it. The peg bag landed on the ground with a thump. Bill fell out, the packet of pens flew out into the sky, and Ben started laughing. "I'm wave!" "Flubber, why every time?" said Bill. "Flubber funny!" laughed Ben. He continued laughing until the packet of pens bounced off his head and onto the ground. "Oh! Ow! Oh, flub," said Ben as he rubbed his head. Bill stood up and laughed at Ben. "Flubber, double my turn to laugh." "Ha ha, Flubber very funny," said Ben sarcastically. Bill picked up the packet of pens, and he and Ben were just about to climb back into the peg bag when Whoops the worm appeared from his compost heap. "What do you two think you're doing?" said Whoops. "I've had a very busy day making compost, so I'm having an early night." "Oh, flubberdoy, Whoops," said Bill and Ben. "Whatever you're doing, go and do it somewhere else," said Whoops, and he disappeared back into his compost. Bill and Ben didn't want to bother Whoops, so they decided to think of another way to get up into the sky. Luckily, Ben knew exactly how to do it. "Flubber balloon!" Bill and Ben arrived at the fence and put their packet of pens and paper into the basket of their hot air balloon before climbing in. Then Bill pulled the anchor out of the wooden box and up into the basket. The balloon started to rise into the sky. Bill and Ben agreed that they couldn't get any higher than flying in their hot air balloon. Bill and Ben looked up at the sky, then turned to look at each other. "Flubber start drawing?" said Ben. "Flubberlob," said Bill. Now the Flowerpot men could start drawing their picture. Bill took out the grey pen out of the packet, took the lid off, leaned the paper on the side of the basket, and started drawing Mercury as a planet. A few minutes later, Ben was putting the finishing touches to Neptune as a planet with the blue pen. He put the lid back on the blue pen, and he and Bill looked at the picture proudly. "Flubber perfect picture," they said. The Flowerpot men were very pleased with their picture, but there was just one more thing. They needed to stick the picture onto something like a wall. "Ah, Flubber Bill, throw a box and glue in the shed," said Ben. He thought they could use a wooden box and glue tube he remembered seeing in the shed. Bill said once they had landed the balloon, they would go there. Then he picked up the anchor and threw it over the edge of the basket so that the balloon started flying back down to the ground. The anchor attached itself to the wooden box, and the balloon landed on the ground with a gentle bump. For the picture," said Ben. "Flubber come back for it," said Bill. He decided that he and Ben would go to the shed and come back for the picture. The Flowerpot men climbed out of the basket and ran off to the shed. When Bill and Ben got there, they ran inside, climbed onto the workbench, and started looking around. Bill found the wooden box, and Ben found the tube of glue. Now that the Flowerpot men had found what they were looking for, they made their way back to the balloon so that they could glue the paper to the wooden box. Bill picked up the glue tube and jumped off the workbench. Ben pushed the wooden box off the workbench, and it landed on top of Bill with a crash. "Ah! Ow! For the pen!" groaned Bill. "Oops! Flumminori, Bill!" said Ben, and he jumped off the workbench to help his brother. At the bottom of the garden, Weed was fast asleep when Bill and Ben arrived quietly pushing the wooden box, which now had the paper stuck to the bottom of it, and stopped when it was in front of Weed. Ben walked over to Weed and patted her gently. "Flower Weed, Flower Weed," he said quietly. Weed woke up wondering why Ben had woken her up. What is it, Ben?" she said. Ben walked over to Bill, and the Flowerpot men stepped aside, revealing their picture. "Flower-dop!" they said. Weed looked at the picture and smiled a big smile. "Oh my! What's this then?" she said. "Flubber, you can't go to the stars," said Bill. "Flubber brought the stars to you," said Ben. "You drew that picture so I could see the stars up close," said Weed. Bill and Ben nodded their heads. "Oh, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Ben," said Weed. "Your picture is beautiful, and it has made my wish come true. You've made me very happy." "Oh, Flubber Weed," chuckled Bill. "Flubber any time," chuckled Ben. The Flowerpot men walked over to their flower pots, climbed in, and looked at their picture. "Flubber, good job, us," said Bill. "Flubber, well done, us," said Ben. The Flowerpot men were just about to go to bed when they and Weed saw a shooting star flying across the sky. "Oh! Flubber, of a shooting star!" said Bill and Ben. "A shooting star!" said Weed. "Quick, you two! Make a wish!" "Ah! Flubber, a wish!" said the Flowerpot men. Bill, Ben, and Weed closed their eyes to make wishes. Once they'd made their wishes, they opened them. "Flower Weed," said Bill and Ben as they popped down into their flower pots. "Good night, Bill. Good night, Ben," said Weed. As the three friends went to sleep, they thought about their wishes. Weed, in fact, had 2 wishes. The one she made when the shooting star flew by, and the one that Bill and Ben helped to make come true. The wish that she would see the stars up close.
Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. They've been playing in the garden, playing with their friends. Now they'll be sleeping in their pot.